So once again, good afternoon. Welcome everybody to the event of Kaiku, the general quiz. This is the rules for the prelims. There are 30 questions for 35 points. So 1 to 25 are 1-pointers. So there are part points in those as well, but those will be half points. 26 to 30 are 2-pointers. So, but we have tried to make sure that you don't have an unfair advantage or disadvantage because you know one part and therefore you know the other part. The parts are relatively independent. And 11 to 20 are start questions. So those are tie break, will be used for tie break and sudden death and so on. So that's about it. We will get started. Without further ado, all the best. The first question of the open quiz. Article 79 of the Indian Constitution deals with the Constitution of Parliament. And then you can see there, it says Chapter 2, Parliament, General Constitution of Parliament. There shall be a Parliament for the Union which shall consist of the dash and 2 houses to be known respectively as the Council of States and the House of the People. Fill in the blank. The president is also part of the parliament. That's the piece that we are looking for because the president passes the bills, has to sign the bill. So parliament is actually the 2 houses plus the president. Next, please. Whoa, okay. Sigh of relief. Research firm Credit Sites analyzed the ongoing increase in hotels RevPAR, which is revenues per available room, in certain locations on certain dates, and found what they call the dash lift compared to the rest of the US. Right? In some of these places, there's a dash lift. Whatever is causing this is also reportedly going to have an economic impact of $5 billion, helping areas where tourism and hospitality were hit by the pandemic recover. According to the president of Question Pro Research and Insights, if whatever is an economy, she'd be bigger than 50 countries. So what is the reason for all this? The blank will be part of your answer, and there'll be a little bit more attached to it. There's a visual, so that shows the top line shows the revenue in these specific cities. The line below shows the average, and you can see that it starts from about March 2023. This data is only up to June 2023, but it's ongoing. Taylor Swift Eras Tour is what we want. Let's look at question 3. Since current events have to be referenced, this is the logo of the Cricket World Cup. And it's a stylization of what concept from traditional Indian performing arts. We're probably seeing this on TV sort of for many hours every day now. If you have wondered what these are, here's your chance to think about it and give a nice answer. Navarasa, 9 emotions of Rohit Sharma. Okay. If everyone's happy with that, let's go to question 4. A new type of ceramic was discovered by Mortimer Wheeler and his team during excavations in 1945 at Arikamedu. The decorative concentric or spiral patterns are made by means of a small toothed wheel called a dash. The patterns are produced by the continuous rolling motion of the dash when it is held against the revolving clay vessel. So fill in the blank with a word which is perhaps more evocative of Las Vegas and Atlantic City than of archaeology. There's some examples of what this looks like, right? Probably the one on the right actually is more suggestive, but all of these are examples of where this technique has been used. Roulette. This technique is called rouletting. So that notched wheel thingy. It's a funny cross word that happens in archaeology and gambling. This is from a company's About Us page. It's a little bit long, I'll read it out. In 326 BC, Alexander the Great, after conquering much of Persia, launched his campaign to enter India. It would become the first time a Western civilization would be exposed to the Indian subcontinent. 23 years later, the Greek and Indian empires would unite in peace under Seleucus I and Chandragupta Maurya. This peace treaty was known as Dash. There's a blank there. It's an 8-letter word, standing for a dynastic marriage between 2 wonderful and ancient cultures. A flourishing exchange of ideas and trade began between the 2 empires, brought through by the famous ambassador Megasthenes and blah, 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 right? So what is this 8-letter word, which is also a brand name and which fills the blanks? Epigamia yogurt. This should be easy. Which venerable institution are these tweets referring to? The blank is not indicative, it's just a thing. There could be 1 or more words there. Joke circulating in Germany. Mein Führer! You need only acquire the staff of Moses, then you can part the sea and march to England. Hitler, wonderful, where is it? In the thing. And then there's Rob who's saying, Happy Commonwealth Day to 2.435 billion people bound together by a dream of getting their stuff back from the dash. The British Museum should be simple. Question 7. Another short, quick one. In Hindu mythology, what's the collective name in Sanskrit given to the 27 wives of the moon? You may not think of these as what the name suggests, but they are actually wives of the moon. Nakshatras. So what we call nakshatras are actually, wives of the moon in according to the mythology. So all your Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika and all are nakshatras. Okay, question 8. Les Grands Murs. If anybody is there who can, any French pronouncers here? Is the only novel by French author Alain Fournier, who was killed in the first month of World War I, barely a year after the novel's publication. It is narrated by François Sorel, who befriends Augustine Meur, the titular character, and later helps Augustine reunite with his old love, Yvonne. The title and possibly part of the plot of which novel was inspired by Les Grands Murs. The Great Gatsby. Le Grand, whoever is the Great Gatsby. Okay. We'll move on. Soon after the Indian team clinched qualification for the Thomas Cup, which they would go on to win in 2022, the squad created a WhatsApp group. What three-word name, a popular chant or refrain which was first widely used in 1996 on the sidelines of another sporting event, and multiple times more recently, did they choose for the group? It's coming home. Question 10. Okay, so there's a visual there, which you can look at. There is no general closed form solutions, and most initial conditions lead to a chaotic dynamical system. However, certain configurations lead to periodic stable solutions. Like for most of the time, it will be an unstable kind of solution. But the ones shown in the GIF are stable solutions because it just keeps repeating. What topic from classical mechanics is this illustrating? This is the three-body problem. Next. These are the start questions. That's 11 to 20. When Dr. Seuss' The Lorax was published in 1971, it included this line, which referred to a geographical entity that was quite polluted at the time. Thanks to something called the Ohio Sea Grant, a number of research and cleanup initiatives were undertaken, and by 1985, they had written to Dr. Seuss saying the 1971 statement was not true any longer. So this Dr. Seuss concurred, and the offending line was removed. So what geographical entity? So you'll see the lines. Okay, there you go. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off, oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary. In search of some water that isn't so smeary, I hear things are just as bad up in dash, dash. Just fill in the blanks. Lake Erie, you can see that it's all rhyming. So, things were bad in Lake Erie, and then in the corrected version, they deleted the last line. So it just ends with smeary and no Lake Erie. If everyone has seen that, we'll go to question number 12. Pictured is a government building in New York's Foley Square. In 1954, a chap called Reginald Rose was called in to perform an essential civic duty and was taken in by the impressive solemn setting with great big wood-paneled rooms and silver-haired eminences and one terrific 8-hour-long argument, leading him to develop a 1-hour teleplay for his employers at CBS. What did the teleplay eventually evolve into, or what was it titled? Yeah, there's a building. This is the building. I think it says the true administration of justice is the firmest pillar of good governance on top. 12 Angry Men. 13. In Buddhism, we are also a non-denominational quiz. Thank you, Bhargava. In Buddhism, Avalokiteshvara is a bodhisattva who contains the compassion of all Buddhas and is the principal attendant of Amitabha Buddha on the right. In Tibetan Buddhism, due to his association with a mantra, one form of Avalokiteshvara is called Shadakshari, Lord of the 6 syllables or letters in Sanskrit. What are these 6 syllables? Om Mani Padme Hamma. We'll go to 14. The image on the next slide is from the 2020 Olympics. An additional metric, which has been blanked out, was included in the broadcast. Research has shown that the higher the metric, the lower the accuracy of the athletes and vice versa. It was found to fluctuate wildly and provided an interesting insight into the mental state of the athletes. Incidentally, the objective of adding this metric, according to the broadcasters, was also to influence the mental state of the viewers themselves. So let's look at the visual. So on the bottom left, there is something that's blanked out. What has been blanked out? What would have been showing in the bottom left? They show the heart rate, pulse, heartbeat. This is a clip, slightly long. The answer is hopefully not that complicated. It shows the ancient origins of an English phrase that is today used in the sense of prepare oneself for something difficult or challenging. What is the phrase?
In ancient times in the Middle East, men traditionally wore a robe as part of their everyday attire. This everyday attire, however, did present some practical challenges. For example, if he had to lift something heavy, requiring him to squat or to bend his legs, providing a strong lifting base, the robe would prove to be a limitation. Or if he were attacked by a wild animal. First, a man would reach between his legs and grab the back side of his robe and pull it upward toward his waist. Next, the robe would be tucked into the man's belt, securing it. He would have better mobility, like squatting to lift, running in place, kicking a ball, and standing in a wide stance defensive posture.
So you saw him, there was a problem statement and there was a solution that gives a phrase in English. What is that phrase? Girding your loins. Let's look at the answer. It's quite funny.
Seeing a man who has girded up his loins was a common sight in the ancient world. Although able to move about with greater freedom, he looked ridiculous, as if he were wearing a diaper. This gave way to what we refer to as pants.
Right. So it's girding your loins is what we want. Okay, this is a two-parter. The common English names of the largest extant species of shark and the largest extant species of dolphin both invoke something else, quite appropriately. What are these two species? Whale, shark, and killer whale is what we want. 17. Okay. This chemical element gets its name from the mineral dash, which we are not saying what it is, from which it is usually extracted. Emerald and aquamarine are well-known varieties of it. According to Merriam-Webster, the etymology of the mineral's name traces back to a Prakrit word, which is ultimately of Dravidian origin, possibly from the town where you would find this temple. There's some visuals. Just name the element. So this is the thing. I hope this is visible enough. I think we have larger pictures if somebody wants to see them. It's all different views, same place. Beryllium from Belur. We'll move on to 18. In 20, again a bunch of visuals. In 2019, the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts designed an immersive art experience based on the artist's works depicting scenes from the world of hospitality and travel. One of the highlights was an actual hotel room that resembles an artwork in color, light, and composition. It's also a fully functional motel room where you can actually book a stay. You identify the artist. Again, there's a few views. Who's the artist? And this is how it looks like. Like in the gallery, there's actually a cutout where you can see this immersive room and sort of see other works and all of that. Hopper, Edward Hopper, slightly long, the answer should be short. The Rift Valley theory, first proposed by Dutch primatologist Adriaan Cortland, posits that the creation of the Great Rift Valley isolated two early primate populations, which subsequently evolved into chimpanzees and humans respectively. Yves Coppens, a French anthropologist and discoverer of Lucy, further popularized this theory and gave it a new name, a play on the name of a 1957 Broadway musical, also made into a 2021 film, modified to reflect the relative location of the Great Rift Valley in Africa. What is the name given by Coppens to the Rift Valley theory? So there is a musical and movie whose name you need to modify to give us the answer. East side story. So west side, Rift Valley is on the eastern side of Africa. So it's a west side story. It became the east side story. Okay, moving on to 20. The person caricatured in this artifact was famously inscrutable. He seemed set to retire when the Second World War broke out, and then he kept everyone guessing whether he would do something unprecedented or not. This enigmatic nature of his led to him being called the Dash. So a few years later, he was reportedly on a plane over Egypt when he looked down and is said to have remarked, "Ah, my friend, the Dash." So there's a visual, it'll help you a lot if the text hasn't already. Who is this and what's the blank? FDR, You have to say which Roosevelt. Okay, Roosevelt is fine. And the Sphinx. Okay, that's 20. End of start. Normal business begins. When one of the central characters of the franchise was killed in a 2019 blockbuster, this is Italian sculptor Daniel Basso paid tribute to him by creating this statue, which you'll see in the visual. Perhaps unknowingly, perhaps tongue-in-cheek, he gave him the sobriquet of another equally or perhaps more so iconic character from another franchise based on the material that he used to create the statue. It's very simple, nothing to worry about. Yeah, let's look at the visual. Right. So this is from his Instagram page. This is a dedication. Let's just hold the visual for a second. This is a dedication to the 2019 character who was killed and all of that. And that's I think that's blue or indigo blanks in the text. But he called it something else, which is the yellow part, right? Which is the sobriquet of another character from another franchise. Iron Man and Man of Steel. That's the end of 21. 22. This visual is from the costume round of the Miss Universe 2023 pageant. Which country did the contestant represent? El Salvador, 23. The main site of the Wimbledon Championship comprises a total of 18 championship grass courts, including center court and the #1 court, and 14 grass practice courts located in Aurangi Park. A further 6 grass practice courts are available during the championships, which are located temporarily to the north end of the site. What is the north end of the site normally used for? So when the championships are not going on, what do they use it for? There's a map with some detail. What is this used for in normal time? During the championships, they use it as practice courts. Croquet. Okay, 24. Okay, this is again a long video clip. Need only a descriptive answer. You don't need any proper nouns, but you'll have to use a few words. Okay, there are 2 clips. Clip 1 is this.
ஆமா உன் பேர் என்ன தம்பி? உன் பேரு கூட உனக்கு ஞாபகம் இல்லையா தம்பி? உனக்கு கொஞ்சம் கூட ஓகே ஓகே ஓகே
I'm sorry. நான் கொஞ்ச நேரம் நான் தனியாக நான் யாருங்க?
ஓகே
ப்ளீஸ்.
Let's see what you got. भूलना तो स्विम में थी ना था?
क्यों? डर गए? स्विमिंग नहीं आती तुम्हें?
जंप इन
Okay, that's it. You'll have to write a few descriptive words. We'll judge what it looks like. The source material, the book or the books in both cases are actually in the videos. So if you see Kamal, that movie is based on the Bone Identity and the book is on his bedside. This is another 2-parter. According to the Dawn newspaper, these items were brought to Delhi in 1946 and never went back to Pakistan after partition. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto is supposed to have asked Indira Gandhi for their return, and she supposedly said, you can have one of them. He made a choice in line with the prevailing religious, cultural atmosphere and the modesty norms in Pakistan. In 2014, during the Sindh festival, Bilawal Bhutto raised a demand for the second one to be returned because of its Sindhi provenance. This has also not happened, but all just political gimmicking. But what are these 2 items? Dancing Girl and King Priest or Priest King Okay, 26. Oh, these are, okay, so that's the 1 pointers. 2 pointers, just please make sure A, B, you put in your answers. According to the official website, the founders of X something wanted to combine delicious dairy cream and another product for which their home country is renowned the world over. The other product translates as water of life in the local language. So what is this X? Right? So what are these founders, what is the product that these guys came up with? Second part is on the official website also provides recipes for cocktails, milkshakes, desserts, and hot drinks with X in it. Name the dessert shown here that uses chocolate brownies and sauce in addition to X. Look at the visual. Don't complicate it, just see what it looks like and name it. Bailey's Irish Cream. Volcano is what we want. It's not lava cake. Volcano is what we want. We'll move on to 27. No, this is a joke. Trishur. Research team from Shadpada, I think. Entomology research lab in Irnyalakuda, Trishur, discovered a new species of kleptoparasitic dash wasp earlier in 2023. Fill in the blank with a common name of a different species which is well known for similar behavior. What does kleptoparasitism mean? Is what you have to work out. So there's another species, not another species of wasp, like another creature, so to speak, another form of fauna. So what is that, this thing? And the second part is the scientific name of this wasp is Trichrisis-I, which is a reference to how a certain part resembles an object that someone from Greek cosmogony and mythology wields. Look at the picture, very helpful. There is a, if you look at this insect, there is a part of it which looks like something that someone from Greek mythology or Greek cosmogony would wield. Cuckoos are the ones which knock out this thing. Poseidon's trident. You can see that the tip of its tail looks like a trident. So cuckoo and Poseidon. Let's move on. Again, 2 parts. The miniseries Mrs. America portrays the political movement to pass the Equal Rights Amendment and the conservative backlash led by Phyllis Schlafly. About the same time, Supervisor Mary Ramos said that it represents both sides of the story, the conservative, about the theme music. It says it represents both sides of the story, the conservative traditional viewpoint of Schlafly and co. combined with the sexiness and freedom of the feminists, right? So that's the idea behind the theme of this show. So a disco version of something is the theme of Mrs. America. We'll play it in a bit and you can figure it out. In season 1, episode 6, this is a separate funda. There is a reference to a drink to celebrate the bicentennial of the US Constitution. So this is, I think, 76 or 1976 or something like that, called the Dash Dash Cocktail. In the show's words, after 2, you start horsing around and wake up the neighbors. Fill in the blanks. According to the show, this is a cocktail that was in vogue in 1976. So you have to tell us what that blank is. Yeah, we'll play the theme. So that's a disco version of something. And there's some helpful context around that. Beethoven's 5th, Paul Revere. That's exactly correct. The title of 2 popular science books are needed. Both comprise 2 words. The first one, invoking a popular literature and entertainment genre. The title is in plural form. The second one, the title is a mathematical twist and pun on part of an idiom that Merriam-Webster defines as a figurative serving of humiliation, usually in the form of a forced submission, apology, or retraction. Right? Look at the books. So the first one is, you take a genre of literature and entertainment, but add a pluralize it. That will give you the first. Right? And it's about fraud, bias, negligence, and hype, how they undermine the search for truth. Science fictions and humble pie. The spelling of pie has to be correct. Let's go to 30. Last, this thing. You have to identify the rag that is being played. And you'll have to tell which brand or of a beverage is responsible. This is a WhatsApp forward that we have converted into 2 points for all of you. Which brand of a beverage is responsible for this installation, which for some reason is outside Vijayawada railway station? Right. So for the first part, for the rag, it's a 2-word answer that we're looking for. The second is a name for a family of rags. Megh Malhar and Taj Mahal tea. Okay, that's the prelims. If we can have some volunteers collect the answer papers. Welcome back to the finals. Congrats to everyone who's made it, and congrats to everyone who didn't. Let's look at the thing. There are 36 questions. There are 30 passing questions in 3 sets of 10. Okay, with that out of the way, let's go. The first round of Clockwise 10 questions. Good luck, everyone. First question to the CIDs. It's 2 parts. The lyricist of this song, it's in the video, is also the Shire of this poem. We'll show you a poem in the visual. Also known as Shire-e-Inqilab or Poet of the Revolution, he founded a branch of the Progressive Writers Union and was active in the Communist Party of India. Sometime in the 60s, he went on a world tour to certain countries, met somebody, and he was inspired to write this poem. Look at the poem first. So it says, Mubarak tujhe o zameen ke musafir, zameen o zaman ki hade todkar, आसमानों पे जाना, हवाओं से आगे, खलाओं से आगे, माँ हो कहकशाओं की फजाओं से आगे, मुबारक सितारों की चिलमन हटाना, सरे जुल्फ़े नाहिद को छू के आना, दिले इब्ने आदम की धड़कन सुनाना, etc., etc. Who is this poem about? Is what we want. Let's just play the video.
नजरें मिलती हैं, जाम मिलते हैं, मिल रही है हयात फूलों की.
There's a portion blanked out where the poet's name appears as his takhallus.
पिछड़ी रात बात फूलों की. ये महकती हुई गजल, ये महकती हुई गजल, जैसे सहरा में रात फूलों की, जैसे सहरा में रात फूलों की. पिछड़ी रात बात फूलों की, रात है या बारात फूलों.
Okay, so who is the poet? Okay, pouncers, please put up your hands. 3 is not pouncing. Please hold up your hands. I need to see who's pouncing. Pounce, I will close pounce. Pounce is closing in 3, 2, and 1. Pounce is closed. CIDs? Yes.
We'll say the poem is about Yuri Gagarin.
Okay.
We'll say Majru Sultanpuri.
Okay. 5 points for Yuri Gagarin. Question to team 2. Sorry? Ludhianvi. No, not Ludhianvi. Everyone else pounced, I think. Audience. Makhdoom Mohyuddin is the poet. Ye mehkti hui ghazal Makhdoom is what it says. From Hyderabad. So that's the Hyderabad tribute of the quiz. So he wrote a poem about Gagarin. He went to this thing and all that. So points, 5 points to team 1 for getting Gagarin. Team 3, 10 points to team 3 on the pounce, 10 points to team 4, 10 points to team 5, 10 points to team 6, team 7, 10, team 8, 10. Auspicious start. Hopefully this is not like the prelims. Right. Second question to team 2. In 2021, the Kunsten Museum of Modern Art in Aalborg, Denmark, asked artist Jens Haning to update 2 of his previous works, which used actual money to show the average incomes of Denmark and Austria, and gave him $84,000 to use in the art. However, Haning submitted a new piece of art consisting of 2 canvases titled Take the Money and Run, a more conceptual work which, according to the artist, aims to establish more equitable norms within the art industry. The museum did not like it and successfully sued Haning, who now has to pay the money back. What was unusual about the work that Haning submitted? Pounce is closed. I see pounce from 1, 4, 5, and 6. Yes, team 2. Please answer.
He basically gave an empty canvas.
That's all we wanted. It was just a blank canvas. Basically, he took the money. He didn't do anything with it. He just ran with the money, and all we wanted was the fact that it was blank. The artwork was blank. So on the direct, 10 points to team 2. On the pounce, team 1, 10. Team 4, 10. Team 5, 10. Team 6, 10. Next question to team 3. It's not clear why the sexagesimal, that is the base 10 system which the Sumerians and people like that use, how it came about. There are 2 major theories in vogue. The first is that 60 is a highly composite number and you can break it up into multiple factors and so on, which makes fractions, doing fractions easy. The second is, what is the second? According to which the reason is akin to the one that is for the decimal system, right? So that we've told you how the decimal system came about. This is also similar to that, but you have to expand on it. Okay. Team 1 is pouncing. Team 6 is pouncing. I've checked the pounce. Team 3, please give it a shot.
We'll say that instead of just using their fingers, they also use the joints and the knuckles and all to count. So that's why 60.
Can you show?
Really, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, and then.
Okay, I'll wait for a better answer.
Back of the hand and I mean.
Okay, no. Team 4.
Okay, we'll say 15 here, 15 here, and 15 on 30 and.
Not quite. Team 5.
We'll say the hands and toes.
No. 6, 7. Wow. So what is the answer? Okay.
So 20 digits with 3 portions in each. So 20 into 3 is
20 digits with 3 portions in each. Okay. Okay, audience, anyone? This will turn into like thing. So it is right. So you count the joints, but one hand only gives you 12. You use the other hand to count 1 set of 12, 2 sets of 12, 3 sets of 12. So that's how this 12 into 5. So each finger, the finger on the other hand stands for the other 5, right? So question to team 7. Oh, sorry, 4. My bad. 2 parts. The first part of this British company's name refers to the original geography that it serviced in from 1822. So the company's flag, which itself might help you figure out what business it was in if you see the flag, reflected this, that is the geography part of it, and is a hat tip to 2 national flags, one of which is a current flag of a country, and others is an older version, right? A flag which was used at that time, right? Which flags, meaning which 2 countries' flags do we want? By the time it was this company was officially incorporated in 1840, they had ventured farther afield. And the second part of the name reflects this expansion in operations. So they used to operate in a certain area and then they kind of expanded into other areas. So they extended their name as well. The company underwent a takeover in early 2006 and ceased operations as an independent entity. Later in the year, many assets were sold. So I think in bits and pieces, this company is still there, but as that single entity, it's not there anymore. So we want the name of the company. Let's look at the visual. This is the company's flag. This flag is a reference to the flags of two countries, which is the geography in which the company used to operate. Which are the two countries? One of those countries' current flag has some of these colors, and the other country's current flag does not, but the flag in 1822 used to have these colors. So let's close Pounce in 3, 2, and 1. Pounce is closed. Team 4.
Okay, we don't. Okay, we'll say flags are France and the. Oh yeah. We'll say Belgium, and this is the English Channel Company.
English Channel Company, France and Belgium. Team 5.
Now we'll say Burma Shell for the company.
Burma Shell.
For the flags, we'll say Burma and Panama.
Burma and Panama. Team
6. P&O, Peninsula, which is where they operated, and Oriental, where they added P&O.
Okay.
And Spain, surely, and probably Portugal.
That's the full correct answer. Excellent answer. This is the Peninsular and Oriental Steamship Navigation Company. The Peninsula, they used to run services from England to Iberia. That's the peninsula that it refers to, the Iberian Peninsula. So Spain and Portugal. And when they expanded into India and these parts, they added Oriental to their name. P&O is very, I think, this thing. So great answer there. Peninsular and Oriental Company, and Portugal and Spain. So 10 points to team 6 and question to team 7. 3 parts in this. While he was a social reformer, orator, and statesman, among other things, it's less known that he was probably the most photographed person of his time and sat for more portraits than Abraham Lincoln. So you have to ID this person. You'll see the visual. Whenever he posed, he made sure of something so as to make a political point that was aligned with the major cause that he was involved with. And he did not want his image to be used by his opponents to kind of make a point. There's one point that he didn't want his opponents have access to his image and say, something, right? What is that point, right? So who is this? We'll see the visual. Who is this? We will close Pounce in 3, 2, and 1. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 pouncing and no one else. Okay, everyone's checked. The question is with Manu ki baat.
This is Douglas. He never smiled because blacks had nothing to smile about.
That's the full answer. He's given the funda. This is Frederick Douglass, famous anti-slavery activist. He made sure that he was photographed a lot because he wanted to, give this image that black people exist and our identity is there. But he never smiles in any of his photos. So 10 points to team 7 on the bounce. 10 points to team 1. -5 to team 3, unfortunately. 10 to team 4 and 10 to team 6. Question to team 8. Lawyer turned textile revivalist Vinay Narkar tried to trace the weavers of the Chandrakala sari, but found that it has not been woven in Maharashtra for 60 years. To revive it, he used several references such as descriptions in Marathi, poems, archival photos, and fabric samples. He traveled to Lakshmi Niwas Palace in Baroda to view one such reference. What was that reference? I mean, we don't need a specific answer, but there has to be a proper noun in your answer. Narkar was encouraged to revive the sari by a fellow Maharashtrian. She was quite fond of her own Chandrakala sari, which is pictured, which was recently auctioned off by Princeps. I think the spelling is wrong, but along with the rest of her textile collection. Who is X? Let's look at the visual. That's the sari on the left. The lady whose face is blanked out on the right. You may, if in case you have seen this photo somewhere. We will close the pounds in 3, 2, 1. 4, 5, and 6 have pounced. No one else. Okay, team 8.
Raja Ravi Verma painting in Baroda.
Okay.
And Nutan.
Okay, Raja Ravi Verma, Nutan. Team 1.
We'll say Ravi Verma paintings and which one? Smita Patil.
Not Ravi Verma paintings, Smita Patil. Team 2. No.
So we'll say these photos by Deen Dayal and Hansa Wadkar.
Ravi Verma and Asha Vasu. So we'll give 5 points to team 8 for saying Ravi Verma. Is it? Anyone else?
Bhanu Athai?
Bhanu Athai is absolutely right. So Bhanu Athai personally had like a fantastic collection of
Green Sari, Oscar Green Sari.
Right. So she passed away, and after that they decided to auction her textile. So it's more than the saris; there's a whole bunch of stuff. So Bhanu Athaiya got the Oscar for doing the costume design for Gandhi, and she passed away earlier this year. 5 points to team 8, and okay, question to team 1. X, whatever it's a word or name, meaning wealthy brown in the local language, was a small mining town near Zhezkazgan. In 1955, when a new facility came to be, some 320 kilometers as the crow flies to the southeast, the administrators decided to name it after the first town, right? So they decided to name this facility after a town which is that far away, as a security measure which is intended to confuse people. Eventually, this second town, this new town, became equally famous, or more famous in fact. And today you can go to Google Maps and actually ask for directions, driving directions from X to X, and it will give you an 817 kilometer journey. I mean, as the crow flies, it's 320, but if you drive, it's like 817 kilometers over 11 hours. What is this place? Pounce is closed. Yeah, team 1, put us out of our misery.
Say Baikonur.
Baikonur is all we were looking for. Let's go to the answer. So this is where the Soviets and Russians have their space launch facility, right? So the place is actually like 300 kilometers away. So they named it after a town which is far away, so that if somebody comes looking for it, they'll go to the other place. Now this has become also equally famous. So you can actually go to Google Maps and ask for directions from Baikonur to Baikonur, and it will tell you one long journey. Question to team 2. This 2003 hit song was a comeback of sorts for the artist. The string sections draw inspiration from a 1983 hit song, and this is appropriate given the dangerous love theme of the original song and the 2003 song. You have to identify both songs.
Today's team of songwriters, led by hitmaker Kathy Dennis, took 2 tiny sections of the musical number and expertly merged those 2 sections together.
So ID both songs. One is a 1983 hit song and the other is a 2003 hit song. Pouncers, please put your hands up if you're pouncing. Yeah, wait. I'll close pounce. We'll see your answer. Don't worry. Pounce is closing in 3, 2, and 1. Pounce is closed. 2 is direct. Yes. 2
is Toxic by Britney Spears.
Okay.
And we will not say anything further because we do not know the name.
Team 3.
Toxic by Britney Spears and Ek Hasina Thi from Curse.
Team 4. Passing. Team 5.
Toxic by Britney Spears, Tere Mere Beech Mein.
That's the full correct answer. So Toxic is from Tere Mere Beech Mein. If you see the answer, you'll realize the funda.
The real story behind Toxic begins in 1981 in India with the blockbuster Bollywood musical. Those high-pitched strings in the score, you've heard them before. At the opening of Toxic, then repeated throughout the song. It's this musical number, Tiri Miri Bichi Mean, that's the source of Toxic's unmistakable hook and riff. By hitmaker Kathy Dennis, took 2 tiny sections of the musical number and expertly merged those 2 sections together.
So that's the answer. So Toxic comes from Tere Mere Beech Mein. Okay, we'll give points now. Points to team 2, 5 points to team 2 on the pass, 5 points to team 5 on the pass. I think we can learn from our elders. They are answering. Okay. Question will go to team 6. A lesser known mistake. There is a mistaken belief. There is a greater mistaken belief, if that helps. A lesser known mistaken belief about X's is that rather than in the usual manner, they stare intently at their Y's for the desired results. For this reason, these objects became symbols of single-mindedness, concentration, and steadfast devotion in early Christianity, especially in places such as Ethiopia and Egypt, where X's are better known, whatever these X's are. Therefore, the objects were embellished and used in churches such as the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and Church of the Nativity and places like this. There's a painting in the visual The painting by Piero della Francesca is a famous depiction of an XY. What are XYs? And then we will start looking for pounces. We will close pounds in 3, 2, and 1. Pounds is closed. The question goes to team 6. Yes.
Apostles, and why lack of a better? These are like, you know, in many of these paintings, these mazed gardens are all supposed to be represented.
Mazed gardens and apostles. We'll move on. Knights Templar. Okay.
Basilic gaze and basilica.
Basilica of the Basilic Gazes.
Ostrich egg.
We'll give you 10 points. That's all we wanted. So if you see the top, there is an egg hanging from the roof, right? This is the story behind why ostrich, so in Eastern churches, ostrich eggs are used as lamps and things like that. And the reason why ostrich eggs are, I mean, apart from the shape and all of that is because ostriches are believed to hatch the eggs by staring at them, right? Rather than actually brooding over them. Great answer from CIDs. 10 points to team 1. The next question to team 2. This is the last question of this before we do a written. Okay, this is somewhat involved. Robert Service wrote in a biography, families existed whose members solemnly toasted the health of, quote unquote, the American doctor dash dash on each anniversary. In fact, there had been 2 doctors, dash, and they were not Americans, but they were Irishmen. Dissident mathematician Yuri Gastev made a habit of citing the 2 great doctors in his books and articles to the amusement of knowing friends. All these references because certain announcements over a period of a few days which named these 2 doctors and were kind of characteristically, these announcements were true, partly true, confusing, but also secretive because something was going on and it was moving on to its inevitable conclusion. Fill in the blanks, so it's kind of technical. We need the name of this thing, the 2 doctors, and what is the conclusion. There's a visual, which, so normal, it says normal something on top, normopnea, there's time and there is amplitude, and then below there is the yellow is the same thing, as in the blanks that we want from the question. So in, below it says gradual hyperapnea and gradual hyper and hypopnea. Okay, I think we will close pounds in 3, 2, and 1. No takers. Yes, team 2, please.
For the first part, we'll say these are the famous Irish doctors, McGill and Garner. Manhattan Project.
Manhattan Project, yes. And McGill and something. 3 is passing. 4?
Sykes-Picot.
Sykes-Picot. Nice. At least we are in the hyphenated region. 5?
We'll say Manhattan Project is the inevitable conclusion, and we'll say the code names were like famous whiskey brands. So we'll say Jameson and Jim Beam.
Okay. Team 6, quickly.
Okay, Smith and Wesson.
Okay, and the second part?
Civil War, Northerners winning.
Okay, I think this is okay. Give him a mic, please. Manu ki baat sunni chahiye.
Chain Stokes and Stalin's death.
That's the full 10 points. Amazing answer. This is something called chain Stokes respiration that happens when you're on your deathbed. And you start huffing, your breathing goes from kind of equilibrium to lows and highs. It's called chain Stokes. So superb answer from the doctor is in the house. 10 points to team 7. Yes, we can look at scores quickly. Okay, lots of things can happen. All right, the round is called Feud for Thought. 3 questions, 10 points each. I think there are facts. It's all about famous spats and rivalries like quiz team rivalries. Please take a pen and paper. We'll come to the audience quickly at the end. Yes, let's go. First question. Two stalwarts of Hindustani classical music had a well-known sort of love, respect, and hate relationship with each other. On the occasion of their birth centenary of one, let's call him A, in 2022, Saeed Naqvi wrote about how the other refused the Sangeet Natak Academy Award and Padma Bhushan because A had received them first. He also said at the end of B's brilliant last performance, Naqvi remembers B taking a swipe at A, saying, "You have to emerge not from a helicopter, but from your mother's womb to play like this." So who's B, who's making this, I am the boss kind of comment, due respect to boss. And what is this comment a reference to? So for the second part, you have to tell something about A, but with some additional information. It's not enough to give A's name. That's the full correct answer. Let's look at the answer. This is Vilayat Khan and Ravi Shankar, and this is a reference to Ravi Shankar coming out of a helicopter at Woodstock. So he's saying, you know, you can't be this West-pleasing character. So, question 2. Both these rivals started off in the same working-class Dockland area neighborhood, but one eventually moved to a more upscale area. The former have been called manure handlers because of their location next to a factory smelling of dung. The latter's pricey dealings have given them the derisive nickname, the millionaires. Oh, that while is a typo. When an iconic brand was trying to get involved with the X, they insisted that the brand make a visible change on X's premises so that even an indirect reference to Y would not be seen. Should say would not be seen. So what rivalry? So you have to name X and Y, and what brand and what did they change? You don't. You just have to say what they changed from. You don't have to say what they changed to. This is Boca Juniors and River Plate, which apparently I'm told is a great rivalry. So 3 points if they've got X and Y, both correct. And the fact is that Coca-Cola came to advertise, but Coke's colors match River Plate's colors. So if you see the Coke sign there, it's all black background and it's not red. So it's probably one of the few places where they've changed it. Next, third one. This is an audio. The features edited, so there's lots of clips of X debuting his latest poem at the Calabash Literary Festival in 2008. And X is taking pot shots at Y. The title of the poem is The Dash, which is a reference to Y's ancestors' origins, right? So Y's ancestors' origins. And the creature in the title was imported into the region where X and Y are from for controlling the rat population, but have now kind of proliferated and become pests themselves. So this is X saying this Y is kind of like that. His ancestors were imported for a thing, and now he's a pest. So who's X? You will hear in the audio. Fill in the blank. What is the name of the creature? And there'll be a line. It'll stop at a point, and you have to fill the rest. Make it match.
And this is the last one. It's going to be nasty. Read his last novels, you'll see just what I mean. A lethargy approaching the obscene. The model is more ho-hum than Dickens. The essays have more bite. They scatter chickens like critics, but each stabbing phrase is poison, since he has made that snaring style a prison. Their plots are forced, the prose sedate and silly. The anti-hero is a prick named Willie, who lacks the conflict of a war or Lawrence and whines with his creator's self-abhorrence. It can do cartwheels of exaggeration. Mostly it snivels, proud of being Asian, or being attached to nothing, race or nation. It would be just as if a corpse took pride in its decay after its gift had died. Once he liked humans, how long ago this was? Wrote.
So the ending is once he liked humans, how long ago this was? Dash wrote dash. Okay, so X is Derek Walcott. So 3 points if anybody has written Derek Walcott. The blank is the mongoose. So he's comparing it as a mongooses were imported from India to the Caribbean to get rid of rats. Similarly, Naipaul's ancestors were imported once for a useful purpose. House for Mr. Biswas. The last sign says, how long ago, I don't know this was. He wrote a house for Mr. Biswas. Do the totaling. Yes, team 1. 30 points to team 1. Full house. Well done. Team 2. 10 points to team 2. Team 3. 30 points to team 3. Team 4. 20 points to team 4. 15 to team 5. 7 to team 6. 3 to team 7. 1-6. 16 to team 8. Question to team 8. Slightly involved. Mughal painting evolved from Persian painting, which itself came from Chinese painting, and underwent quite a few stylistic changes between the Persian heavy works from the period of Babur to the heyday of Jahangir and Shah Jahan. One aspect is how people were depicted. So what is the change? So we'll show you visuals with quite a few, in fact, with details. So something changed about the way people were depicted. It's a simple look at the picture and tell me types. There is in one of the paintings, it's called Jahangir Preferring a Sufi Sheikh to Kings by Bichitra. The painter incorporates two contemporaries of Jahangir as though they are attending him at court. So there are two people in that painting. For first person, we want who that is, like a title. Now we don't need the name of the person. And for the second person, we need a name. Let's look at the pictures. So left side is the larger work and the right side is a kind of a detail from that. Look at how the people are depicted. That's one example. There's Persian, it says in the middle, right? So which is Persian? So this is, left side is just a single work, but it's there in this also. Both are Persian in this. Both are Persian. All these first four pictures are Persian. These are Persian. This is Mughal. So these two. The painting on the right is the painting that the second part of the question is about. Okay? But there's a detail of that as well. So these are the two people we want. Okay. I don't know if there are brave enough people to pounce for this. So we will close pounce in 3, 2, and 1. Nobody's pouncing. Yes. Team 8.
In the Persian paintings, the face was visible full on. In the Mughal paintings, it's all profiles. You can't
3 points for that. That's the big difference. So if you see, and there's a funda behind that. In the Persian paintings, all the faces are sort of half turned. And in the Mughal paintings, they're all in profile.
P1, we'll say, is the Imam of the Jama Masjid.
Okay.
P2 is Sir Thomas Roe.
Okay. Team.
So only last two parts, right? We'll say the Shah of Iran and King James of Britain.
King James the First of Britain will give you 4 points for King James the First of England or 6th of Scotland. The Ottoman Emperor is the P1, right? So it shows as though the Ottoman Sultan and the King of England are waiting on Jahangir. It's a sign of his power. So 3 points to team 8 for getting the face turning. Question 2, team 4. An independent Slovak Republic was proclaimed on 14th March 1939, and the Germans occupied the Czech Rum State the next day and established the Protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia. The Protectorate was nominally autonomous with Emil Hasha, but the real power was the Reich Protector Konstantin von Neurath. There was no real precedent for this type of arrangement in German history, and Hitler had to look farther afield for a model to emulate. And German media of the day explicitly sort of compared this setup with what other arrangement that they saw elsewhere in the world at that time. Team 1 seems to be pouncing. I will close pounce. The question is at team 4.
Rajas of Hindustan were they were nominally autonomous, but the British government actually had the military and all other powers.
Can you improve on that?
The Indian states, which were their were under the kingdom, kings. Under there is East India Company, they had presidencies, but they also had kings, right? Who are the like just like this protector and whatever? Can you give two? King of England was and Indian Rajas were there.
The princely states and their rulers and the viceroy of India.
Okay, viceroy.
Princely states, they were controlled by the regent who used to sit there, and this was a diarchy, right? I mean,
the
power
what?
shape.
The who?
The British residents over there.
Sorry, resident.
Okay. Rajiv, nonsense. Yeah, that's the full correct answer. Let's look at the answer. 10 points to team 6. This is how the British so the British had a resident in all of these princely states who actually controlled things, but the Raja was just a rubber stamp. So the Germans saw this and said, "Arey, these guys have an efficient system of doing this, so we will also adopt this." So resident and British state is what we wanted. So 10 points to team 6 on the direct, and CIDs have pounced and got it right. So 10 points to team 1. Great answers. Question to team 7. The practice was instituted from the second occurrence of something at the Coconut Grove nightclub in April 1930 as a way to boost attendance and add a bit of unpredictability and ensure pizzas and glamour. However, the press did get early access to the items of interest, but there was an 11 p.m. embargo on using whatever they got access to. So 10 years later, the LA Times flouted this embargo, leading to a rather deflated event. The event was not as great as it could have been, leading to the current system that is in vogue, which has been adopted or applied. This is the history of a change, a specific change of what? In the way something was done, something else was introduced. So what is this? We will close pounces in 3, 2, and 1. I see 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 are bouncing. 7.
Format of the Oscars telecast with the nominees and everything. With the nominees. And
Okay.
So basically, this is the Oscars. What would happen earlier is actually the winners list was also given. But because LA Times flouted that embargo, what they did is they stopped giving the winners also beforehand for being published in the newspapers next day, and they just gave only the nominees. And the winner would be announced on.
Okay, we'll accept it. I think we're all in the ballpark, so that's fine. Sealed results. So what they used to do originally was they'd announce it and invite everybody to the party, so it was a very dull affair. There's no suspense. Then they started hiding the results. Okay, question to teammate. 1 point, what is this the emblem of? And there are 3 design elements in this, have gone into this design. What are those 3 design elements? Okay, we will close pounds in 3, 2, and 1. Pounds is closed. Team 8.
One element is a woman's face, the white being the hair and the lips and so on. Another element is a flame.
Okay.
It's an emblem for Tinder for lesbians.
Oh God. No, I'm not going to say whether any parts are correct or not in this case. Yes, team 1.
Basically, Tinder version for cure transgender people.
Of various.
This is an emblem for the Paris 2024 Olympics. An Olympic flame. A woman's face is followed by, and it's gold, like the gold medal. Oh, I haven't said 3 different things, huh? Maria.
Oh God. Okay. So this is the Paris 2024 Paris Olympics logo, and the flame is you saw the Olympic flame. The round is a medal, and the lady is Marianne for the who symbolizes France. So no Tindering here. But we'll give points. 3 points to team 8 for the flame, and the rest of the points to team 2 for the rest of it. Okay, team 3. Written in 1919, it is short and memorable enough to be famous in toto by itself, but parts have been used in books, albums, movies, TV shows, comics, computer games, political speeches, and newspaper editorials. This is, I think, the only place where computer games appear in this quiz. Fintan O'Toole in the Dash Times, we are not saying what newspaper that is, has suggested a metric that the more quotable this thing is, the worse things are. And other places where this has been quoted are a 1958 novel made it well known in the context of colonialism and independence movements. 1968 essay collection by Joan Didion did the same. The Brookings Institute and New York Times used it in 2007 to refer to the Iraq War. Wall Street Journal used it in 2016 as the Trump campaign made its way inexorably to the White House. Jordan Peterson, Slavoj Žižek, West Wing, Battlestar Galactica, The Sopranos, Gordon Gekko, Neil Gaiman, Terry Pratchett, everyone has quoted from this. What are we talking about? Okay? Pounds will close in 3, 2, and 1. Pounds is closed. Question to team 3. Not 4 for 1 next. Yes.
Say this is the Rage Against the Dying of the Night by Dylan Thomas.
Dylan Thomas. You've pounced. 8 has pounced. 1 has pounced. Oh, you haven't pounced. Please. If Kipling, but Kipling. 1 has pounced. 2 has pounced. Okay, nobody got this. That is crazy. Audience? The Second Coming by William Butler Yeats. That's what we wanted. We'll see the scores. Second Coming is not another Tinder question. Just for CIDs are on 104, narrow lead over Hyderabad Nawabs who are on 102. Everybody else is sort of 62, 63, 45, 55, 57, all in the ballpark. All right, 2 parts again. For one set of sequences in Y, the makers wanted the type of cinematography that was done for X. Right? So according to the makers, one of the makers of Y, we were trying to figure out how to make it as X-like as possible. It got to the point where his co-creator wanted to look into renting the actual X lens, which is apparently still out there and may even be available for rent. That would have been good vibes, but I was too afraid we'd break it. So they didn't eventually do it, but they considered it. So what is X? right? Whose thing they wanted to borrow. What is why? We don't need like it says, we don't need a very specific answer, but you have to name what X is broadly. Watch the video. There are excerpts. So these kind of scenes. Watch the video. Okay, bounce is closed.
Better Call Saul.
Okay.
Apu trilogy.
Better Call Saul and Apu trilogy. 5 points for Better Call Saul. Question 2, 7. Lawrence of Arabia is X. Let's look at this. So they considered borrowing the Lawrence, and there are scenes, there's one episode where it really plays, I mean, whatever, these are like recreations almost of the scenes from Lawrence of Arabia. On Reddit, I think there are people spending a lot of time trying to do this. And they considered borrowing the original lens that was used for Lawrence of Arabia when they were afraid they'll break it. Question 2, Team 6. One explanation for the unusual nature of X in a particular country as compared to those in other countries from that part of the world is that these X's used by royalty were originally made of silver. It was believed that the oxidizing properties of silver made it possible to detect whether food intended for royals had been tampered with. This practice was eventually adopted by commoners, though using less expensive material, so it's not silver, and has persisted since then. The extensive use of a complementary, you could say, Y, in addition to X, is also unique to this country and is cited as another reason for why the slippery nature of X here is not a problem when it comes to using it. What is all this an explanation for? We don't need like X and Y. We need the country and we need to know what X is, yeah. Right? We will close Pounce in 3, 2, and 1. Pounce is closed. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, Team 6, take it away.
The country in question is South Korea. It is possibly the only country in that region that actually uses metallic chopsticks as opposed to wooden ones.
10 points for that. 10 points to Team 6. So this is why if you go to a Korean restaurant, you'll get metal chopsticks and a metal spoon, right? Unlike Asian, Japanese and Chinese places. This is why they use metal, because originally their kings used to use silver and all of that. Question to Team 5. The Tigris and the Euphrates start from sources very close to each other in eastern Turkey before flowing across Mesopotamia and joining together at the Shatt al-Arab. Because of this, Upper Mesopotamia has been known since the mid-7th century Muslim conquest by the traditional Arabic name X. This name is perhaps more familiar to us via a famous entity from that part of the world and a country and its capital somewhat farther away. What is X? There's a map which will kind of, so you can see what happens because the sources are very close. You could say they're the same source. Imagine that they're the same source and not very close to each other. And then it flows and you can see that there's the two rivers, there's a confluence and then they flow out. So what did the Arabs call Upper Mesopotamia? That's what we want. And as a clue, the name is familiar to us by a famous entity from that part of the world, that region, and a country and its capital somewhat farther away. We will quickly close Pounces in 3, 2, and 1. 1, 2, and 6 are pouncing. Okay, 1, 2 are checked. Yes, Team 5, please.
Let's say Jazeera in Peninsula.
Al Jazeera is all we wanted. So Al Jazeera stands for island. Because the Tigris and the Euphrates almost start, it makes Upper Mesopotamia look like an island. So the Arabs used to refer to it as an island. So on the pounce, Team 1, plus 10. Team 2, plus 10. Team 6, plus 10. And plus 10 to Team 5 on the bounce. Question to 4. 3 parts again. Round-robin documents and agreements have been used in multiple countries and cultures over time. This layout and structure serve 2 purposes. One, usually when used by the nobility to solemnize some agreement, and the other typically when people had a complaint or were involved in a conspiracy. What are these 2 purposes? Why would they use when nobility were involved, and why was it used when conspiracy was involved? There's another reason for it. The third part is the Japanese version is named for how from above. That is, if you see this document, It resembles an object, the traditional version of a practical object that all of us might have used from time to time. What object? Let's look at the visuals. So this is a round robin document. Right, on the left side is I guess a European, it's called, maybe it's a sailor's round robin, bunch of sailors complaining. And on the right side is the Japanese Kasare and Banjo, I think. So what are the two purposes that this document serve? One in the context of equals signing it, one in the context of conspiracy and complaints signing it. Third is, what is the Japanese thing? If you see this, it looks like an object seen from above. Pounce is closing in 3, 2, and 7 is pouncing. Pounce is closed. Question with 4, yes, please.
So when nobility solemnize round robin, it shows all of them are equal. You don't have like hierarchy in a nobility. So that's one part.
3 points for saying that.
Other way, in complaint or like a conspiracy, you don't know who the main guy is, so everyone gets
3 points for saying that also.
The next part is the problem. We'll say
because
object is a lantern.
Not a lantern.
This is our entire answer. So, क्या बोलेगा?
2.
Coaster.
Not a coaster. 1. Umbrella is what we wanted. 3 points for umbrella. So that's, it looks like an umbrella. So 3 points to team 1. On the pounce, -5 to team 5 who didn't get the right object but got everything else. And -5 to team, 10 to team 7. Okay. 10 to team 7. Why, do you want a -5? I can give -5. 10 to team 7. 6 points to team 4. 3 points to team 2. Sorry, team 1. Question to team 8. 2 parts. Chandramohan Gupta was publicity designer for many iconic movies. When Sholay was being publicized, Ramesh Shippi wanted to draw attention to the high-tech aspects of the production. So the poster said 70 mm and stereophonic sound, explicitly in text. In what other way did the posters that Gupta designed for Sholay convey the message? There is no visual for that. You have to remember Sholay and this thing. But the second part, how do Gupta's posters for Purab or Paschim convey the overall sort of, Bharat Mata Ki Jai type feelings of typical Manoj Kumar movies? Let's look at the posters. So this is the poster of Purab or Paschim. And in what way is the sentiment of or the overall sentiment of the movie conveyed in the poster? Okay, I will close pounce in 3, 2, 1. I see 1, 8, 7, and 6 pouncing. 8. Yes, sir. 8.
So we'll say the word Sholay was written in a font that showed this whole 70 mm cinema scope kind of thing, like this.
5 points for saying that the word Sholay is shown like a 70 mm cinema scope screen.
Purab, the B of Purab is higher than the P of Paschim. So it shows that our culture is better than their culture.
Okay.
That's the funda here.
Okay.
The B of Purab is higher than the P of Paschim. In both cases, it's like that.
Okay, we'll pounced, 7 pounced, 6 pounced.
So Purab, the font is progressively increasing, and Paschim is progressively decreasing. So West is.
That's really what we want. It's not so much the letter, it's the whole orientation. Purab is rising upwards and Paschim is going downwards. That's what was wanted. So that's how the poster says that, East is rising and West is this thing. Sholay, of course. So 5 points we'll give to team 8. 5 points to team 4. Question to team 3. Oh, it's written. So team 3, remember, it comes back to you. Short. This is not like as complicated as the last one. Fewer points also. Since it's K circle, let's have a round on K circle. There are 3 questions, 5 parts, and 15 points in total. We will see them on the slides. Please have a piece of paper ready. Let's look at this. 50th anniversary, so there should be something here. So English letter K's history is shown below, starting from an Egyptian hieroglyph, which was used when actions being performed were denoted. So you can see what the leftmost thing, the hieroglyph, what does it represent? So if an action is being performed, what would what might an Egyptian draw to signify that it's an action? So see what it looks like. Just say what that looks like if you want to. In the second part, it's present in a source. That is, this hieroglyph is present in a source where it refers to 10 ways of honoring Ptolemy V. And let it be engraved the rank, priest of the god, appearing Epiphanes, lord of benefits, Eucharistos. Upon we've hidden that to not give away the first part. So so what's the source of this second, this statement? It says, it's been given here. First is, what does the hieroglyph represent? What does it look like? All it is a hand, it's a palm, right? Action is done through hands, that's all we wanted. Rosetta Stone, so easy enough. There's a mix of hieroglyphs and Greek there. Question 2, Kriti Sanon has teamed up with PEP Technologies to launch a new skincare line. And on her 33rd birthday in July 2023, she wrote this. I'll read it out if you can't see it. Kriti Sanon and Let's Dash. Dash is a hope of possibilities, opportunities, and adding more chapters, blah, blah. The second place is more interesting. Turning my obsession for skincare into passion and so on. But we've dashed, so that whatever the blank is, blanked the power of nature and the potency of science to give multiple benefits from each product. So to convey the sense that they've taken power of science, potency of nature, and joined them together in a way. What is the name of this brand? This brand is called Hyphen. And the third part, this is a visual showing some involved construction on this is the circle is the reference to K circle. Some involved construction on a circle from whose notebook? Whose notebook is this from? In the corpus of this person's work, this particular one is unique in what way? If you take this person's works, this is very unique, possibly the only one, but I mean certainly very, very rare. So K we have done, hyphen we have done now. 3 points for hyphen. And the circle is here. Okay, whose notebook? Ramanujan's notebook. Only geometry is what we want. This is, otherwise all of his proofs are number theory related. This is possibly his only geometric result that he's worked on. Okay, points, team 1. My God, 15 to team 1, team 2, 6 to team 2, team 3, 9 to team 3, team 4, 12 to team 4, 12 to team 5, 15 to team 6, relentless, 9 to team 7, 3 to team 8. Okay, fine, we're done. We'll check scores, yeah. Okay, whoa. Still a tight race at the top, and third, and pretty much it's like 1, 2, and then a 3. Okay, we'll move on. Question 21 goes to team 3. First 2 seasons relied on crowdfunding from fans and the faithful. The third season will express gratitude to a specific number of those who contributed more than $1,000 to the series in a particular part of the third season. So how will they express gratitude to the donors? How will the producers of the series express gratitude to these donors? And in what part of the series or Jesus' life will they be honored? Okay. Okay, pounds closing in 3, 2, and 1. Only 5 and 8 are pouncing. Okay, 3, you can answer.
So they will be cast on the show, basically. And they'll be part of the crowd on the Sermon of the Mount.
Okay, so 3 points for being cast on the show. They'll all get to be part of the show.
They'll be the other people in the Last Supper.
Not the Last Supper.
So this will say basically this is the feast where, Jesus multiplies loaves of breads and give to these. They'll be making a cameo there.
That's the correct answer. This is Jesus feeding the multitude where he converts the miracle of loaves and fish and so on. So they all get to star as extras and possibly they get some grub as well into the bargain. So 3 points to team 3 for saying they get a role and 7 points to team 1 for question to team 8. Ile Saint-Honoré, possibly, is an island off a French coast. Legend has it that a young nobleman named Honoratus renounced worldly pleasures and settled there as a hermit in the 4th century. The island faced a particular problem, and Honoratus climbed a tree and prayed for a solution, which God provided by sending a tidal wave that got rid of the problem. So as a tribute to this incident, a nearby place did something which then later in the 20th century was adopted by a famous entity from that place. Some entity which is famously from that place adopted whatever that place had done. Second part is, later legends have it that someone else studied at the monastery in the 5th century and went back to his homeland and accomplished the same thing that Honoratus had done with his prayer in his homeland. Who and what did they do? So this island is off a coast of France, and this place is near that. 7 and 6 are pouncing. I am going to close pounce in 3, 2, and 1 has also pounced.
Start with B. It's St. Patrick in Ireland.
Okay.
And he got rid of snakes, which were a menace.
Okay.
And you want to know what was the place off the French coast? We'll say it was, we'll say Corsica.
Not Corsica. 5 points for saying it is St. Patrick who got rid of the snakes from Ireland. 7 pounds, 6 pounds, 5. René Lacoste crocodile, 4. Okay. Alfa Romeo logo, it seems. Team 3.
Say Maserati and the Trident.
Maserati and the Trident.
We'll say the snake in Inter Milan's logo.
Not the snake in Inter Milan's logo. It was 8th question. Audience, anybody? The palm from the Cannes Film Festival. So he climbed a palm tree. And it was off the coast of Cannes. And Cannes put the palm tree on its coat of arms. And the film festival adopted the palm tree from the coat of arms. So this, strangely, is the origin of the golden palm at, the palm d'or at Cannes. That's what we wanted. So 5 points to team 8 on the bounce, 10 to team 6 on the pounce, 10 to team 7 on the pounce, and no other points. So question goes to 7. 3 points for this. You'll see a visual. You have to fill in the blanks in all these panels. How are the blanks a tribute to ancient Rome? Oh, it says here we are on the 3rd floor and the person in front is climbing the stairs and the person at the back, because I don't want to reveal who this is saying something. Now the person with the winged helmet is saying, well, once upon a time Rome was governed by a triumvirate. That means 3 consuls. Caesar. A lot of that is not so important. So it made Pompey greatest enemy. I can well imagine he's trying to raise an army against Caesar in Gaul, which would explain a certain amount of confusion among Roman legions. Understand? No. But I do understand one thing, and that statement. So don't go by the font size. It's an exclamation, so it's larger and all of that. So what is the words that have been blanked out, and how is it in an indirect way, it's a tribute to ancient Rome. So you have to say how that comes to be. Pounds will be closed in 3, 2, and 1. 4 and 6 are pouncing. Team 7, yes.
So this is, these Romans are crazy. So the original in Latin is SPQR, which is by order of Senatus Populus Qui Romanus.
Okay.
Which is by order of people and Senate of Rome. So Sono Pazzi Qui Romani is, it translates to, you can give an alternate expansion as in Sono Pazzi Qui Romani, which is, these Romans are crazy.
Anything else?
For now.
Right, 10 points to Team 7. That's a full answer. So the English phrase, these Romans are crazy, and the Latin translation of that is, you've seen these Romans are crazy in Asterix comics all the time. The Latin translation of that is Sono Pazzi Quelli Romani or Questi Romani. Manu will correct me if Quelli is wrong. And that's a tribute to Rome's motto of, Senatus Populus Romanus. So SPQR, this is like, usage in Italy itself or Rome itself, where the Romans make fun of themselves. So that's why that's a clever sort of pun. So 10 points to Team 7 on the bounce, 10 to Team 6 on the bounce, 10 to Team 4 on the bounce. Question to Team 6. Duria Antiquar, a more dash Dorset, was the first artwork or pictorial representation of a certain kind. The first version was an 1830 watercolor painting by Henri de la Beche, who was not a painter by profession. De la Beche got a professional to create a lithograph based on his original, and these prints that he created were distributed for educational purposes, and they were widely distributed. All the proceeds that he got from these prints, he donated to someone who was responsible for him being able to do the painting in the first place and was facing financial difficulties. What type of first was this work, and Who was the beneficiary? Pounce is only from 2 and 4. 8, are you pouncing? Okay, 2, 4 and 8 are pouncing. Pounce is closed. 6, yes, please.
Second part we'll say is Mary Anning.
Okay.
First part is the first depiction of a fossil of a very prehistoric creature like a dinosaur and so on. It's a depiction, like a painted depiction of how it would have looked like.
Yeah, it's a painted depiction of how life would have looked then, right? So look at the answer. So these type of paintings, right, that you see of, imagine dinosaurs wandering and all, were first done by this guy. He used the fossils that Mary Anning found. He made this painting, sold the prints, and gave the money to her, right? So these are called deep time paintings or paintings of dinosaurs, fossils. These landscapes is what we wanted. On the bounce, plus 10 to team 6. On the bounce, plus 10 to team 4 and plus 10 to team 2, plus 10 to team 8. Nicely worked out. Question to team 5. Okay, this is a multiple painting question. Multiple paintings are titled the dash of whoever is in the painting, right? That's a template. Some examples are shown. You have to fill in the blank. If you see that what's happening in the paintings, you should be able to work out the word. There is one particular one which was executed by a famous neoclassical painter when he was 73 years old in 1853 for the ceiling of a hall in the City Hall of Paris, the Hôtel de Ville. This was destroyed in a fire in 1871, but we know what it looks like because of a photograph and painted sketches, and people have created like medallions based on that painting and so on. We'll show you the medallion. This work is explicitly political, unlike most of the rest of his work, and he paid tribute to not just the person that it's based on, but also to someone else. And the stuff in the visual will help you work out who the someone else is. Let's look at the thing. So these are all just for identifying the word. So you can see the dash of James 1, the dash of Washington, one more I think, the dash of James Cook. You can see what's happening to all of them. This one is the one of interest, which is the dash of someone else. The one on the right. There's a detail of that. So you can see the face on the left, which if it helps you identify who that person is. So like I said, that painting got destroyed and so on, and somebody took photographs and they made this medallion, right? Which is based on the painting, and there's a detail in the medallion which we'll show you because it's hard to see from here. At the bottom it says, in nepote redivivas. 7 and 8 are pouncing. I'll close pounce in 3, 2 and 1. Pounce is closed. 1, 7 and 8 will take pounces. Question to team 5. Yes.
Okay, we'll say the first blank is apotheosis.
3 points.
The person who's depicted is Napoleon III, who was ruling at the time.
Okay.
And the other person being paid tribute is Napoleon Bonaparte. And that wording there, Nepo, refers to him being his uncle. And
full 7. That will give you this full 7 points that you need. So in nepote, so the line says he lives again through his nephew, right? So the ruler at the time, this is Ingres, I think is the painter. The ruler at the time was Napoleon's nephew. So he made a painting of Napoleon being, apotheosized. But he also put in a reference to the current ruler who was Napoleon's nephew. So this whole nepotism and all comes from favoring your nephew, essentially, right? So that's the nepote funda in that. So 10 points to team 5. On the pounce, 10 to team 7, 10 to team 1, 10 to team 8. Nice answers there. Good history and art fundas. Okay, let's look at scores quickly. If slight separation at the top now and even in the middle. Let's look at, okay, there's a lot of spread at the bottom. Okay, right, let's move on. Question to team 4. Player 54, Chasing the Dream is an ESPN documentary series chronicling the creation of the XFL under new ownership. The series is co-produced by one of the league owners who played for the Miami Hurricanes and aspired to bigger things. But injuries took their toll and he had to change careers. He said, Player 54 is a deeply personal reality for me. I was ready, I was hungry, and I waited for that phone call that never came. So who's this league owner who also serves as a co-producer? A guy who's, for whom this is very personal and all, because he was ready and whose aspirations were thwarted. What is the relevance of the player 54 in the title? Pounce only from team 3. We will close pounce in 3, 2 and 1. Pounce is closed. Team 4. Yes.
Okay. We'll say Vince McMahon. and 53 players are there. He is like a 54, the extra in that. The roster has 53, so he's the 54th. In that XFL. So
Okay, NFL, right, I heard you. So 5 points for the player 54 Funda. Now we'll just go around the room.
I'll say The Rock.
The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. Super. So 5 points to team 4 and 5 points to team 1. And on the direct, team 3 pounced and got it right. So 10 points to team 3. Question goes back to team 8. One of the highlights of the Chicago World's Fair of 1933 was the Graf Zeppelin being put on display. The Germans drove a hard bargain, forcing the US to release commemorative stamps and demanding a share of revenue and all this. Once this thing got to Chicago, the pilot, Hugo Eckner, who was opposed to certain recent occurrences in his homeland, we'll say, decided to fly only clockwise around the field so as to not be used for propaganda. Why was the clockwise path necessary? Why did he fly? So there's the stadium, imagine there's a stadium. He went around it in a clockwise direction. We'll close pounds in 3, 2, and 1. I can see 3 and 6 pounds. Okay, question is with team 8. Yes, team 8.
The Zeppelin would have had a Nazi symbol, the swastika on it. And if you go in this direction, it will not look like the swastika, it will look like a mirror image.
I'll give it, I don't want to spend too much time. It's only on one side of the plane. Let's look at this. So this Zeppelin had a swastika on its fuselage only on one side, right? So if you go clockwise, you won't see the left side of the plane, which will be outside. So people in the field will see it. This guy was an anti-Nazi, the pilot and the industrialist who did this. So that's why they did this. On the pounds, 10 points to team 3, 10 points to team 6, and that was it. 8 got 10 points on the bounce. Question to team 7. When he realized that the strength of the Bahmani sultans came from their horses and their mounted archers, the Vijayanagar Empire, Devaraya II, gave orders to enlist a large number of Muslims and allotted them estates. An additional step was to have a Quran placed before his throne. While there might well have been a courtesy angle to it, how did it allow him to maintain sort of regal majesty and avoid a potentially tense and kind of thorny situation? We'll take pounces on 1, 3, 5, 6, 8. Question is with 7. Yes.
So this allowed them to bow and regain. I mean, while retaining their this thing, whatever. I mean, it enabled Krishnadevaraya to continue having his regal majesty. They would bow. It would feel like they're bowing to him, but they're actually bowing to the Quran, and that way they are also fine bowing to him. That's all. Thank you.
I bow to you. 10 points to team 7. I think everyone who pounced here got it right. That is Krishnadevaraya. This is an extremely fantastic movie called Aditya 369. You'll have to watch it like, you have to savor it. Question is with 6. The name for this group of animals seems to have come through a linguistic misunderstanding. Right? The Arabic word, whatever that is, waran, is used for an even larger grouping of animals. The first species Linnaeus came across was the Nile variant via its German name, which contained this waran from the Arabic. So the Germans, when they named it in German, just simply borrowed this waran from the Arabic. Waran is also a German word with a different meaning. So when Linnaeus came across waran, he just assumed this is the German word, and he Latinized it, and then that word is how we know this group of animals in English. While they very occasionally exhibit the behavior that the name denotes, most of that is sort of retrofitting. It all has to do with the confusion of Linnaeus reading waran and thinking it means what the German word waran means, and not what, he didn't know that this was the Arabic intent. Okay. Question is with 6. Question is with 6. Any pouncers? Okay. Nobody's jumping. Pounce is closed. Nobody's jumping. Okay. Team 6. Let's have a look.
Essentially, the ibis. The ibis are supposed to be forebears for any kind of tsunami. They warn any natural disasters that are coming in advance. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Ibis. 5.
Wildebeest.
Wildebeest.
Flying fish.
Fish. Wolf. 2. Aardvarks. Those are different kinds of animals.
Meerkats.
Meerkats. 8. Wolverine. 7? Crocodiles. No. Nobody got it. There is Arun in the audience who's been like jumping forever. Monitor lizards is what we wanted. Let's look at the answer. Varan in German is Warn. Linnaeus saw this and thought it meant Warn and so used monitor, the Latin word. Varan is actually just lizard in Arabic. So monitor lizards, they don't actually monitor anything. It's just a naming confusion. They are not monitoring for Googlers and quizzes. Scores, and thanks, please compute the scores. People who have helped set this. Aniket, Nikhil who's here, thankfully. That's Nikhil. Otherwise we would have had a hard time trying to do pounces and all of that. Sarada, Sharat, Suraj and Vivek. So everybody sent me questions and I kind of did some masala of my own. With that, we will move to the last question of the quiz. The question goes back to Team 6. 2 parts, but each part has 3 parts. The main dignitary involved and the terms used for the actions involving the tricolor ceremonies in Delhi on Independence Day and Republic Day are different and reflect these 2 occasions. So for each occasion, you have to say who is the dignitary, the biggest occasion in Delhi, let's say. What is the term that they use for what is done with the tricolor, and why is this difference? Why is the tricolor treated differently on these 3 days? We started with India type question. We're ending with one. Okay, anybody pouncing other than Bala? Pounce is closed. 6 will now.
So in 1947, and taking you back a little in history, 15th August.
During his childhood.
15th August,
yes.
India became independent. So
Okay.
Nehru, that is the Prime Minister,
Yes.
went there and he hoisted the flag from the bottom.
Right.
Right, so that became our Independence Day tradition of Prime Ministers hoisting the flag.
Okay.
Now 3 years later, cut to 1950.
When you were your
and
teenage,
now
when he was in college.
Mr. Rajendra Prasad, our president, is now, it's up there, so all he can do is unfurl it. So
Okay.
that's why presidents on Republic Day.
Okay. Okay, fine. I mean, we don't need to quibble about this further. Please take it. So the flag is hoisted on Independence Day because for the first time the British flag, because Raji was there, the British flag came down and the Indian flag went up. So symbolism is that the old is coming down and you're putting up the new. On Republic Day, you're already an independent country. You have your own flag. It's just been bundled and it's kept there. And the president, the head of state, the head of government versus head of state. Good enough. 10 points to team 6. On the pounce, 10-1. 4 and 7. 4, 7 and 8. 1, 4, 7 and 8. Here are your final scores. Good show from everyone. Amar Akbar Anthony, Chede Chede Khabo, Peter Panchali, Ingit's Nexus, Swami and friends. Thank you all for coming. You've made this very interesting. In 3rd place are Manu Ki Baat with 147 points. That is Manu, Sanya and Bhargava. In 2nd place are the CIDs from Kerala with 179 points. Rishi, Diyar and Chandrakant Nair.